Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. As you get on here, you'll find that there is a poll on the screen. If you don't mind just answering that poll. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight for our first Sphero session of 2024. We'll be getting started in just a minute or two. If you don't mind, please complete the poll that's on the screen. Also, as you're joining us and filling out that poll, if you have any questions or comments and you want to share, please do so in the chat. But at the bottom of the chat, please switch it from panelists and host to everyone. That way everyone can see your questions and comments. If you don't mind introducing yourself, where you're from in the chat as well. And we'll give it just another minute or so to get everyone in here and kind of finish out that poll. Looks like we have people from all over. Lots of cold weather across the country we're seeing. I am in Pennsylvania. It is also cold here right now. All right, just one last second. If you haven't already completed that poll, please do so and introduce yourself in the chat. Please switch it from host and panelists to everyone so everyone can see what you're posting in the chat. Thank you for introducing yourselves. And we'll get started with a little bit of housekeeping. So our webinar today will be 30 to 40 minutes long, and we'll have a little bit of time for Q&A at the end of that webinar. It will be recorded and emailed after the webinar along with the PD certificate. Please join us again in the chat. If you have any questions, you can put it in the chat or in the Q&A section. If you do use the chat, please set it to everyone so everyone can see anything that you post. Leave questions for us panelists in the Q&A section if you don't mind. Closed captions are enabled, and if you hang around till the end, there is a giveaway at the end of the webinar. All right, so our brief agenda for tonight is we're going to start by meeting our robots, talk about Sphero Edu. We're going to talk about activities and how to find them. There's some new ways to do that. We'll go beyond the activities. We'll talk about some professional development opportunities. And then, of course, the Q&A and the part everyone here is here for is that giveaway at the end. My name is Brad Fessler. I am a professional development and content manager here at Sphero. I have worked in education for 15 plus years, teaching technology and engineering education, both in grades 9 through 12 and in higher ed. So I hope to share some of that experience with you here tonight. So let's start by meeting the bots. So in our pre-K through second grade corner, we have Indie. And Indie is for our youngest learners. The purpose of Indie is to teach computational thinking, and it's a great tool for not only teaching STEAM, but also all kinds of computer science practices. It can be a completely screen-free and app-free experience. So all you need is what's in the Indie kit. However, there is an app, and we'll talk about that app later, that you can use to go just a little bit further in there. We do support the CSTA practices and standards throughout the Indie curriculum. Then we have Volt. Volt is our latest spherical robot. It has a long-lasting battery and a really fun LED matrix that's on the top of the robot. And this allows us to send all kinds of information back to the user on there. So you can program all kinds of animations, feedback information from the sensors, all kinds of really cool things you can do with that matrix. We also have the ability to communicate between robots using infrared. So all of the robots have all of Bolt's, and later we'll see Rover. Rover has this same capability. They have infrared sensors, so you can send messages between robots to get them communicating with each other. There's also a bunch of other really advanced sensors in there, so we can capture all kinds of data in that robot, and we can even export that data back out to a spreadsheet. The robot supports a 2-to-1 student to robot ratio. As you go through the curriculum, that is what we recommend. And the really cool thing about Bolt is it supports a really wide range of ages. Anywhere from 3rd grade, we've used these all the way up with high school students. Our next bot is Mini. And Mini is a smaller kind of simplified version of Bolt. And this is a cost-effective way to get robots in the classroom. So if you're really tight on that budget, you can bring Mini into the classroom for a pretty low price and teach some basic computer science concepts with it. Mini comes with 15 activity cards for each kit. It comes with construction pieces and all kinds of cool accessories like the bowling pins and the cones and things like that that you see down there. And it's the perfect size if you're going to work on a desk. So if you don't have a whole lot of room in your classroom for students to have robots moving around, Mini is a perfect answer to that by being able to keep this on a desk. And this is priced for a 1-to-1 implementation. So each student gets a robot to work with. And our last robot here is Rover. And Rover is our most advanced robot system. It is an all-terrain robot. It is a track-driven vehicle, so it's super capable going up and down inclines and even rough surfaces. As you go, start using this in different locations, it is really super versatile. It has a lot of sensors similar to Bolt, and it also does infrared communications, just like Bolt. The cool part is Rover can communicate with other rovers as well as it can communicate with Bolt. So you can communicate with between Bolt and Rover and back and forth, all using IR, all using the same programming app, which is really cool and versatile to get all of those robots talking to each other. The cool thing with Rover is it's compatible with third-party hardware. So things like Little Bits, you can build a Little Bits invention and put it on the top of Rover and power it through Rover's USB port that's on the top. You can also use Microbit or Raspberry Pi to be able to bring in other coding languages and get those other systems that you might build things with on the move simply by putting them on the top of Rover. And then using MakeCode, if you're using Microbit, you can use the MakeCode extension to program Rover, so you don't have to jump between programming apps and environments. You can do it all in one program there. Or if you're using a Raspberry Pi, you can program everything right in Python, both an invention on the top of this, as well as the movements of Rover. All right, so let's take a look at what programming looks like for all of our students, regardless of age or their developmental stage when it comes to programming. So we'll start at the bottom. We'll start with Indie. Indie is a color-based programming experience. You simply lay down these colored tiles in a pattern, and each color tile has its own command. And as you lay those down, students start to learn that pattern, right? So pattern recognition, if you're thinking about those 4 pillars of computational thinking. So they start to recognize those patterns, Indy's behavior based on the color. And as you can see in the little animation over here, how this works of laying those tiles out and where Indy will travel. If you're looking for additional lessons or resources, there's a link at the bottom of this slide, which I think will get put in the chat here momentarily, but you can check out additional resources for Indy on that site. When you're ready to level that up, you can check out the Sphero Edu Junior app. And what the app allows you to do is reconfigure what those tiles do. So green is go, yellow is slow down, red is stop, right? And then you have your different turns, 90 degrees left and right, 45 degrees left and right. And the fun one, purple, which is celebrate, makes Indy spin around. That students love that. When I run professional development, what tends to happen is the students and the adults all have the same reaction when they finally answer one. The arms go in the air and they're celebrating. It doesn't matter if you are 4 years old or 60 years old, we all have the same reaction to that success, which is really fun to watch. So you can reprogram these tiles in the app and change the behavior of Indy. The cool part is Indy will stay reprogrammed until you reset it. There's 2 ways you can reset it. You can reset it in the app, or on the back of Indy, press and hold the power button. It's 3 to 5 seconds, and Indy will blink and make a sound and then shut off, and Indy is back to its default programming. So if someone reprograms it and you're in the middle of class and you're like, oh man, I need it back to the other way, no problem. You can press and hold that button and you're right back to that default programming. The rest of our lineup tonight here with Bolt, Mini, and Rover, these all use this Sphero Edu app to program. So let's take a look at what that app looks like. We have 3 different types of programming we can do in the Sphero Edu app. The first one is draw-based programming. And this is that first intro to coding using a device. So you have to get the students connected to the robot. We don't want to hit them with all kinds of new things all at one shot. So we get them connected and get the robot moving very quickly by using draw programming. You select the color in the program, and once you select that color and then the speed that you want the robot to travel, you simply draw the path and the robot will execute that path. One thing to note is as you select the speed of the robot, when you draw your line, a higher speed, a faster speed will make a wider line on the display. So you can really tell the speed of different lines and different sequences that way by just visually looking at it real quickly. We teach our students sequencing here as well as the effective inputs and outputs. When we're looking at draw-based coding, it is real coding. So here we can see there's 2 lines here. The blue line you can see is slower than the green line because the green line is wider there. And when we look at this, we can see the corresponding JavaScript code that goes there. So it's real coding. It's not just I drew something on the screen and it happens. There's real computer code behind this. And we have a progression we want our students to get through to be able to eventually program that JavaScript. So students can start here and be able to see that JavaScript later. Our next type of programming is block-based programming. And these are drag and drop blocks. Think of them as the building blocks of the coding world. And we can take these and snap these together in Sphero Edu, and it makes for a really easy programming experience. The cool part is it's a a wide range of complexity for students. You can start really, really simple here and make it very, very complex. So we can start by just getting the robot moving to doing some really advanced things like playing games and all kinds of other fun activities. And we'll look at activities here in just a few minutes. Block-based coding is where a majority of our users work with Sphero robots. So here we can see the concepts from basic to just getting it moving, that square we saw earlier, to some more advanced things here where we're looking at the angles, the pitch, particularly in this case, the pitch of the gyroscope. And if it is above a certain threshold, do this. If it is less than a certain threshold, do this, right? So we have all kinds of options that we can work with here throughout our block coding experience. And then we get into the more advanced programming, which is text-based programming. Our text canvas uses JavaScript. It is a text syntax. We have our Sphero JavaScript wiki, and this is an awesome set of resources that you can use to learn all about the different commands that are there, how they relate to the blocks, since students are more than likely transitioning from block-based coding to text, how we can smooth that transition for those students. And just like we saw with draw-based programming, we can also take our draw program and convert it over to JavaScript so we can see exactly what those blocks mean in JavaScript. So it's really a useful tool to help students kind of translate that and make that transition from block coding to the full JavaScript experience. All right, I mentioned activities earlier. So let's take a look at the hundreds of free activities that we have on here in the Sphero Edu app. So we do have the Sphero Edu app for nearly every platform out there: iOS, macOS, Android, which Chrome OS supports, Windows, and Fire OS. And if you scan that QR code there on the screen, that'll take you to the page to be able to download our app. You can also find this right on sphero.com or edu.sphero.com, which I'll talk about here in just a moment. So there's two sides to the Sphero Edu platform. The first side is the app. This is the student-facing side of things. And you can join this as a student, a teacher, or you don't even have to log into the software. You can click on the Let's Code button and jump right in there. If you're looking for something to just get you started real quick, you can hit that Let's Code button. You don't have to worry about a username and a password or any other types of login information out there. You can jump right in with that. Then we also have our teacher-facing side of things. The teacher-facing side of things here is edu.sphero.com. And this is where the teacher can go in and find activities, create classes, assign those activities to their classes, manage student progress with things. I do want to note here that if you are looking to build a program and connect to a robot and test that program, that must happen in the app and cannot happen from edu.sphero.com. The edu.sphero.com side of things is purely for the teacher management side. So the best way to create a class is using what we call class codes. And the cool thing with class codes here is it doesn't collect any student data here. You simply go in, click on create a class, and you can select, put a class title in, a class name in. You can enter the learner's first name and last initial if you want, or you can have the students do that after that. And from there, and this also all happens in a web browser and not in the Sphero Edu app. The cool part about this is when you're using class codes, there's It maintains a high level of student privacy. We're not collecting information from the students. They don't have to worry about a username and a password to log in. You don't have to worry about lost passwords and all that fun stuff there. Although you do have other options to log in, you can log in using Google credentials. So if you're using Google Classroom, you can sync your class with Google Classroom. You can also sign in and sync your class with Clever, or you can use the standard username and password and creating an account to go through and get your students logged in. Once they are logged in and you've created those classes, you're ready to start giving some activities. And these activities can be used with Bolt, Mini, and Rover. We do have activities specific for each one. So we start with our draw-based programming for our youngest learners, and then we progress through our block-based programs. These are our intro series. So it's laying the foundation of all those skills that we want our students to have for future activities. So draw programs 1, 2, and 3. Then we have blocks 1 through 8, and then eventually move into text-based programming 1 through 4. There are hundreds of other activities out there. These are just the foundational ones for each type of coding environment. So how do we find all these activities? Well, when you go to edu.sphero.com, you have 3 different ways to find activities, or 3 different types of activity organizations here. The first one is collections. And collections is our newest way to find those activities. So collections are a curated list of activities that Sphero has created on a particular topic. So we can see in this particular image, under activity collections, we have elementary math. So there's 5 activities, and they're appropriate for grades 3 through 5. And then the next one is the Bolt Programming Fundamentals. And this is what we saw earlier, draw 1 through 3, blocks 1 through 8, and then on to our text-based programming. There's 14 activities there, and they range all the way from 3rd grade to 12th grade. There's many other collections in there. You can filter those collections by robot and by grade level. Just simply have to click on the buttons at the top. Our next way to find activities, or next organization of activities, are the Sphero written activities. So you can search, you can filter for those Sphero activities. You can filter by robot type, the duration of the activity, grades, standards, tags, or just simply start typing in the search bar there to find different things. And you'll find all kinds of activities throughout there. There's literally hundreds of activities. So take your time and search through those when you're looking for something in particular. Also note that there's community-based activities that are in there. These are written by you, our community members in Sphero Edu, and then they go through a moderation process and then published on our site under community activities. So you can find even more ideas out there. And if you would like to contribute, please do write some activities using our activity builder and share those with everyone. So where do we get started with different activities? How do we get started once we got the robot, we figured out how to use it? How do we get our students using this thing? So we start on Sphero.com, and then when you go at the top, you can go to lessons and resources and then select the product or the type of robot that you have to use. In this case, the chart that I'm showing here is the Bolt progression. And when you're in here on this page, you can see left to right on that screenshot, we have draw-based programming and then into block-based programming and eventually into text-based programming. This is your core activities that we recommend to get those skills, to develop those skills with your students with that particular product. And if you're also looking for our recommendations in a particular subject area, we have those listed on this page as well. So you can see we have all the STEAM subject areas there at the bottom of your screen, so you can find all kinds of really cool activities throughout there. There are other types of resources on that product page. So you can download free resources like educator guides, links to accessories. So if you're into 3D printing, there's accessories that you can go out to Thingiverse and download, and we have links to those on that page as well to use with your robots, as well as find those apps and activities. We also have a product called Computer Science Foundations. And this is a computer science specific curriculum that has 72 lessons over 3 different courses that range from draw to block to text-based coding. There's 8 interdisciplinary themes within this, and these are premium offerings for curriculum. They are behind a paywall, so you do have to purchase this as you go through and use these activities. They do come with an educator guide, a printed educator guide for the teacher to work through and help organize your lesson plans for computer science. And then we also have professional development. So we offer 3 different types of professional development. We have self-guided training. These are what we call fundamental courses, and we have them for each product as well as a Sphero general fundamentals course. And you can take this at your leisure. It is asynchronous. Once you're registered, you have 90 days from the time you start to finish the course. There is in the course, it walks you through all the basics. There's videos. There is engaging as possible as you work through it. There's all kinds of things that you complete that are interactive with that, as well as in most courses, there is custom activities that you might not find in other places in there. And then we have virtual all access training. And virtual all access training is a year-long subscription where you can sign up. It's good for up to 20 teachers for 1 year. And you sign up for different sessions on your schedule. So you book a time and you will get a live person on the other end. It might be me, it might be someone else on our content team, which are all former educators. So you're in good hands no matter who's assigned to your session with that. And you can go through all kinds of training topics, from how to use Sphero Edu, how to get started with programming, how to do advanced programming. We even have an office hours session where if it's something that doesn't quite meet any of those other session ideas, no problem, book office hours and we can go in there and help you. We've even had people that were not quite understanding what a student programmed and how it was working. So they booked office hours and they shared that program with us, and we were able to walk them through and assist them with that. So it's a really cool resource to be able to work your way through learning how to use any of the Sphero products. And all access training is good for any Sphero product. And the last form of professional development is an on-site workshop. And the on-site workshops are set up for up to 30 teachers per person. If you have more than 30 teachers, we'll send more than one trainer to your site. And we travel to you. They're customized to exactly what you're looking to learn. So there's a planning session ahead of time. We develop a plan on what that day is going to look like and come to you. So we work in your environment, make sure your robots are working the way you want them to, and help you through that entire process. If you're looking for more information, there is a link on the screen. I think that might make its way into the chat as well. All right, with that, I've been seeing a lot of questions come in. I think our moderation team here has been doing an amazing job going through everything, but we will open it up for any unanswered Q&A here. Let me see here. Do we have anything? Oh, so some single sign-on options that are there. So you have the ability to sync those classes with Clever as well as Google Classroom. So then students use their Google Classroom credentials to log in. And also, if they're using the Clever service, they would use their Clever login to log right into Sphero Edu. So you don't have an additional account for the student. You don't have to worry about them losing a username or password there throughout that. So those are all, ways to simplify that login process. Let's see here. Specific dates for on-site PD, that I'm not sure. I'll have to take a look at that when that one comes through. What about smaller districts for on-site trainings? That's a great question. So I will say I have literally traveled over halfway across the country to train 2 people for a day. So it doesn't matter how large or small of a group that you have, we will gladly work with you to make sure that those trainings do happen. Let's see here, we also have Clever. Okay. So here's a good question. So you've done the 3 beginner block courses, and with your 3rd through 5th grade students, would you suggest going directly to the intermediate block courses next? So that's a great question. So if you're looking for purely skill building to just continue learning new concepts, you can jump right into those intermediate block activities. Or you can find some other activities that are maybe subject specific that will then build upon what they've learned already and practice those skills. Sometimes having that iteration and practicing those skills is really useful, so that we don't just see it one time and then kind of forget about it. So sometimes that's really, really helpful. All right, let's see here. Yeah. So, are there any suggestions for doing like a train the trainer? So, teaching other teachers. So, under our virtual all access training, we do have a um, a train the trainer series. So basically, those trainers would book sessions with us in virtual all access, and we would teach them training techniques, teach them the skills and the training techniques, work with them to then turn around and train the teachers. So that is a super useful way to get through that. Let's see, a couple other questions here. The difference between Spark Plus and Bolt. Bolt is our newest. It has that LED matrix and a bunch of other sensors on it that Spark Plus didn't have, and it has a much improved battery compared to Spark Plus. So both robots are waterproof. Bolt is the newest iteration of the spherical robot for us. All right. So with that, do we have a winner for tonight's giveaway? Let me check our chat here and see if we have anything. All right, it looks like we do. So our winner will have their choice of a Sphero Indy or a Sphero Bolt, and we ask you to reach out to our folks at Sphero after the webinar if you hear your name. And it looks like our winner tonight is Katrina Maddock. Katrina Maddock, congratulations. You have won either an Indy or a Bolt, and we appreciate you coming on here to our webinar tonight. So please reach out to our team and make sure that we get your information for that prize. There will be an email sent, a follow-up email sent with a professional development certificate. If you do have any questions, you can email us at education@sphero.com or visit sphero.com. for more information there. We do ask you if you use any of the social media platforms out there that are listed, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, to join our channels, follow us. If you do something really cool, tag us so we can share it with everyone. That's really fun. We do have a blog, sphero.com/blog/news. You can join our email list. And we do have an upcoming webinar on February 21st on engineering design with Sphero. And if you are already registered and competing in the Sphero Global Challenge, I believe we have a webinar if you're already a registered team on January 31st to go over some information for those teams. So thank you for joining us. We appreciate all of you joining us this evening, and we hope to see you back on our future sessions.